Batman has many iconic villains, the biggest of which is of course the Joker. However, the Riddler is certainly in the top 3. Maybe even top 2, depending on who you think wins between Penguin and Riddler. A character who, fun fact, has many different ways to spell his name over the years, with the character's original name being Edward Nashton, although in canon he would later legally change it to Edward Nygma. Nygma with an I. Then, for some unknown reason in the 90s, the character's name changed again, now to Edward Nygma with a Y, which has become the most used version of the character's name, although you'll occasionally see the I still, and perhaps even Nashton. But Nygma with a Y has certainly won the battle of what is his actual last name, at least as of right now. Riddler has appeared in live action multiple times, 5 in fact, and I thought it'd be a cool idea for a video to simply just rank them. Now, before we get into it, I want to make clear that this is my own personal opinion, which you can disagree with. And I hope you can leave your own opinion down below and rank the characters' live-action appearances based on your own preferences. We're going from worst to best, since I think it's more fun to do it that way. And I'm pretty sure we all have the same worst. Or at least I assume we do. That being in 5th place is Titans, which you probably didn't even know that the character technically appeared on the show. Which he did. He appeared in a cameo during the first season finale, being one of the villains that Batman kills in Dick's Nightmare. I've seen many different opinions on the Titans TV show as well as the actual finale of the first season. However, I am basing this ranking off the character's iteration solely, not on what it's around. Therefore, because of that, I can't exactly rank this version of the Riddler any higher than last place, as it is technically a live-action appearance of the Riddler, even if it is just a cameo, with it being a very brief dead limped arm that many fans probably didn't even notice because I didn't, which makes this by far the worst live-action Riddler. However, it should be noted it's not intended to be anything more but a cameo Easter egg. Therefore, I can't exactly hate on it since it's not intended to be a direct adaptation of the character. I had to question myself on if I should even include this on the list, but like I said, it is still technically a live-action Riddler, so yeah, he's on the list. The very bottom of it, where I think we all can agree where he belongs. In 4th place is Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. While I'm a huge fan of Jim Carrey, this is without doubt my least favorite character he's ever played. Which I don't blame on Jim Carrey, he's a great actor. I blame the script because there are a lot of issues with it. However, focusing mainly on the Riddler aspects of it, the character is depicted more as a knockoff Joker. His riddles are really just puns, while his thirst for knowledge is kinda unnecessary. Yes, that idea is a thing that does happen in certain iterations with the Riddler, but it's kinda just tacked on here. Not helped by the really bad CGI with the TV antenna things. However, I will give this version this. He has a very bold sense of fashion. And yes, while campy, I do think that the costume designs for the character in this movie are actually pretty decent. They're campy and silly, but it does fit the character. Well, Jim Carrey does clearly try his best in the role, however, in my personal opinion, I don't think he exactly gets out of the way of the horrible script. Or at least not enough to make the character salvageable. 3rd place is the 60s Batman show and the movie. Talk about a flashy, campy Riddler. The first ever live-action Riddler was a very bold recurring villain in the 66 Batman series, played by Frank Gorshin, who, while might not be the deepest Riddler, you can tell he's just having the most fun playing this classic villain. Now, this show to some can be too silly, too campy, perhaps even unwatchable, but for me, I always found it really fun. I like stupid things, I love trash, and this isn't trash, by the way, it's very campy, but it's actually really good campy. At least it is to me. It's very fun. Frank Gorshin's Riddler was actually the first villain to appear on the show, even before Joker. And while of course I did not watch the show while it was airing, I'm only 18, I'm not that old. I did watch some episodes off iTunes. Yes, I'm that young, I watched off iTunes. And I just had a lot of fun. And the Riddler episodes, while yes, are silly, as is the entire series, it's still a very good depiction of the character from that time. Riddler in the comics at this point was very silly, as was most comic books. Therefore, the character is, in a weird way, kind of dead on. And even though, yes, the character, like said, is not the deepest version of the character, I still think that he deserves to be this high up on the list. I can already tell I'm going to get yelled at for putting Frank Gorshin over Jim Carrey. Second place might be a bit controversial, but it's actually the Batman, with that version of the Riddler being played by Paul Dano, which is actually one of the few Riddlers to have maintained his original name, Edward Ashton. This version is heavily inspired by real-life serial killers like the Zodiac Killer, as well as a dark take on internet trolls in the dark web. Well, it's a very different take on the beloved villain that some love and others really dislike. For me personally, I found this version of the character a very cold and clever villain, and a great foe for Batman to start off with. I will be honest, the only thing that I didn't really like was his costume. Like said, I love a flashy Riddler, and the character was actually pretty flashy and campy in his performance, which is a pro to me. But his costume is, in my personal opinion, lacking that Riddler pizzazz. Although yet again is intended to be a darker take on the character's costume, as are most of the costumes in this movie. Or at least a more realistic take. Therefore, I can see what they were trying to go for, but personally I hope in future movies or other installments like spin-offs, if this version of the character does appear again, I do hope he gets his classic Riddler costume. Although I bet some of you are hoping the exact opposite and that he keeps this one. And number one, yet again, in my personal opinion, is without a doubt Gotham's Riddler, played by Corey Smith. This version, while cold and calculated, gets 5 seasons of what is, in my personal opinion, a great show to become a very developed, strong villain. This version does alter Ed's origin slightly, but it still keeps the spirit of the original, seeing his eventual fall into madness, and ponder the riddle, was he always there? And just didn't know the real Ed. With the character being allowed to be the main focus of episodes and storylines, it allows him to not just be a regular villain, but an actual character to a story. Which is something that, in my personal opinion, makes the show Gotham so great. It allows villains to be in the spotlight, like Penguin, Catwoman, even Tigress. Therefore, for my personal ranking, I find Gotham's Riddler to be the best of the live-action versions of the character. Now, of course, this entire ranking is based on my own personal opinions and preferences. I would love to see your ranking down below. I do apologize if I was too harsh on Jim Carrey's Riddler. And I would love to make more videos like this, perhaps on other Batman villains like Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, maybe even Mr. Freeze. Although that's only if you want me to. I won't if you don't want me to. I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you had fun watching it. Anyways, that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!